Greetings everyone, Banner from the Virtual Economist, and welcome to a new video. Now at this point, it's no secret that the next major TF2 update is just around the corner. After all, we are slowly approaching July, the golden time when Valve traditionally drops their biggest update of the year. Now, as with every other major update, hype has been building on this one for quite some time now, and I think that everyone wants to know one thing. Will the Pyro update be amazing, or will it fail miserably? Now, I'm just going to say this right now, I don't think that the update is going to be as easy to break down as Meet Your Match, where the overall consensus was that it sucked horribly. Instead, I personally think that there will be a lot of good and bad parts about the update, and I think what will ultimately determine how good the update is the net difference between them. While many other YouTubers have already talked about this update, I wanted to put my unique perspective on the table, as I am one of the few content creators that focuses almost exclusively on trading. Thus, I wanted to try my hand at determining the fate of the Pyro update. To do this, I'm going to, number 1, quickly go over everything about the update that has been confirmed by Valve, number 2, tell you guys exactly what I personally want to see in the game when the update hits, and number 3, put together a comprehensive prediction of everything that I think we will actually get from the update. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump right on into it. First things first, we need to go over what we know will 100% be in the update. Normally this is absolutely nothing, but between Valve News Network, Uncle Dane, and the Gabe Newell AMA, we actually know a lot more than you might expect. For time's sake, I'm not going to go super in depth on this, but if you do want to watch a more detailed video, I would definitely recommend watching Casper's video on the topic. Anyway, here's what we know. Number 1. The next update is referred to internally as the Campaign 3 update and is, quote, one of the biggest updates Valve has ever done. Honestly, I don't think it is the best idea to be putting all of your eggs in one basket with such a massive update, but I am still optimistic that Valve will be able to pull this off. Number 2. Contracts will be revamped and will allow for a lot more player choice. This is being referred to as being able to choose your own adventure, and I am definitely looking forward to this, as I think the goal here is to not screw over players that never play certain classes. Number 3. Non-stock weapon skins are coming. I think we all hated how few weapons actually had skins, so this will be a long overdue addition to the game. Number 4. The update will feature a brand new Pyro class pack. This has been confirmed to include general balancing and will feature new items similar to how old class packs were designed by examining each slot and adding a suitable item. It's been so long since Valve has added new weapons, so this should be a breath of fresh air. Number 5. The update will include broad weapon balancing work, especially in balancing for competitive. Valve has had mediocre success with this in the past, so I really hope that they have learned a little bit from their mistakes and will try to make weapons viable without really changing their stats too arbitrarily. Number 6. A jungle theme is confirmed. With this, it's almost like we're getting 2 updates mashed into one. Number 7. A new Valve jungle map will come alongside new community maps, cosmetics, and taunts. Personally, I don't think Valve should be spending their precious time designing their own map when the community stuff is just as good, but I'm not going to complain about it until I see it. Number 8. The update will feature some matchmaking improvements as well as an elo system and placement matches. This will be a great step forward, but I am dubious it would be enough to save competitive. Number 9. In some way, the update will attempt to integrate casual and competitive, and essentially bridge the gap between these two core game modes. Right now, we have no details as to how they would do this, but I just hope it won't be another killing quick play sort of move. And finally, number 10. A new Team Fortress short film at approximately 4 to 5 minutes will be accompanying the update. Again, I think it's silly to be spending precious employee time creating an SFM short, but I guess it will be a good enough way for non-coders to contribute to the game. It should also be an awesome way to market the update to new players, so I think it will ultimately be one of the best parts of the update. Alright, so that has been everything that has been confirmed for the Pyro update. Now let's get into what I personally want to see Valve add to the game. Since everything that I just talked about is highly likely to be in the final version of the update, I'm going to focus on ways Valve can either implement these confirmed features or talk about brand new things that they could add somewhere in the update. Anyway, let's get right on into it. At this point, I figure I might as well bring up my biggest request first. I would like Valve to make casual 6v6 and bring back quick play as a classic game mode. Now there are two parts to this radical suggestion, so let's break them down individually. First, making casual 6v6. When Valve first abolished quick play last year, I honestly thought that everyone was overreacting. After all, I figured that having a modern queue system would work a lot better for the future of the game. However, I didn't anticipate how horrible the matchmaker would be. These days, it is literal hell to try and play a game of casual just to get footage for a video. I either get put into a game with less than 5 players, on a 4v10, or on a map I didn't even select. Honestly, the only way I found to get a full semi-balanced game is to only select the same maps that everyone else has selected, so the matchmaker can fill empty slots as fast as possible. However, as you can imagine, playing high tower and upward 20 times in a row can get pretty tedious pretty quick. Turns out it is really hard to get a fair balanced game when the matchmaker is trying to fill teams of 12v12 on a map pool of 30 plus maps. And I don't think it is the matchmaker's fault. There are simply not enough active players to fill a 12v12 server on a map of each game mode in each region. Thus, this brings me back to making casual 6v6. Honestly, if Valve simply hit that one button, I think that the complaints about casual would be cut in half. The matchmaker really wouldn't have to work anywhere close to as hard to fill full games, and you would never get unbalanced extremes of 2v10. In addition, this would help bring casual up to a much closer format to competitive, and would be a great way to bridge the gap between these two wildly different game modes, something that ZeUberMedic specifically said was a goal of the Pyro update. Now, I can already hear the insane outcry from all the friendlies and trollgers out there. You guys probably think that this is even worse than what we have right now, and that casual would become tryhard city. While I'm not exactly sure that would be true, it brings me to the second part of the idea, which I can wholly credit to a simply amazing video by the YouTuber Too Many Moths. That is, to bring back quick play and rename it something like classic. You see, making casual 6v6 would make it more of a competitive environment. But if you bring back quick play too, there's a place for all types of players. Friendlies could play quick play, competitive players could play competitive, and anyone in between could play casual. While I definitely think that the biggest argument against this is that it would spread out players into a ton of different game modes, I really can't think of anything better that would solve as many problems as this solution does. Anyway, let's get into the slightly less groundbreaking ideas. The second thing I really want from the Pyro update is the removal of skin wares. While they may have worked well in CSGO, in TF2 I consider them to be a massive failure. To be honest, I think that any good game designer should know that you should give players things that are better than what they expect, not worse than they should be. Yet that is exactly what wares do. Instead of giving you an awesome looking skin, 99% of the time they give you some crappy scratched up mess that you would never ever think about using. In addition, they mess up pricing on backpack.tf and confuse the literal hell out of traders. Between the skin name, tiered items, festive, strange and unusual variants, and now wares, there are at least 500 billion versions of each and every skin, which makes it impossible to know whether you have something worth hundreds of dollars or a few cents. Thus, these items cannot be priced on backpack.tf and are generally regarded by traders as cancer. It is also ridiculous that you can get a battle scarred unusual, as unusuals are supposed to be awesome and rare, instead of you just getting some ugly piece of garbage. To me, the solution is obvious. Either add a slider that allows you to adjust the wear from battle scarred to factory new, or remove them entirely. I don't think that this has been something that has been on many players' minds, but I also really don't think that anyone would complain if this was implemented. The next thing I would like to see is new unusual effects for both hats and weapons. To be honest, it seems like the only time we ever get new unusual effects is when it comes to Halloween, and it would be super awesome to see some of the amazing jungle themed effects on the community workshop finally get implemented into the game. In addition, I think that unusual weapons are in dire need of a second generation of effects. The first 4 were fine, but honestly not spectacular in any way. Between this and weapon wares, I think that most would consider unusual weapons a massive failure, and new effects could help revive them in the eyes of the player base. I would just make sure that the unusual effects are treated in the same way as the old Halloween effects were, with a normal unbox rate and the chance to get a new effect out of any crate you unboxed, except for maybe the all-class crate, but that's really a topic for another video. Also, if Valve wanted to replace unusual weapons with Australian variants, my idea from my Christmas video still stands. Speaking of weapons, another thing I would love to see from the update is new weapons for classes other than Pyro. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that they would rather see Valve rebalance the existing weapons rather than see new ones. While I will agree that Valve should rebalance old weapons, I personally think that one of the things TF2 desperately needs is more new subclasses and incredibly unique weapon gameplay, and you just simply cannot get this by revising old weapon designs. Thus, I would want Valve to both rebalance old weapons, as well as adding just a few new weapons to other classes. Now, I know some other people would say that adding that many new weapons would take far too much development time, and that it would simply not be achievable. However, I would beg to differ. Valve can literally just grab a weapon with a full model, textures, sound, and animations straight from the community. Yes, the hardest part will be adding the mechanics and balancing them, but considering their past attempts at this, I really don't think that anyone is expecting perfection, and I think that anything new will still be quite amazing. Up next, I would like to see a greater long-term focus on competitive. Now, while I'm sure that adding an elo system with placement matches will get new players playing the game mode, there is really no way that it can save competitive. In my opinion, what will ultimately decide the fate of the game mode is how fast Valve can respond, try out solutions, and fix issues that arise. And right after the Pyro update hits, Valve will have the perfect opportunity to do this. A lot of players will be trying out the game mode for the first time in a year, and there will almost certainly still be a debate as to what class limits or weapon bans should be in place. Thus, with the larger player base, Valve will have the perfect opportunity to capitalize on improving the mode. All they would need to do is try out new things for a week or two, get feedback, and then use that information to improve the game mode. If they can do this continuously for the 2 or 3 months after the Pyro update arrives, I could honestly see competitive becoming exactly what the community wants. Finally, I would like to see more optimization and just general quality of life changes. While I know all the competitive players out there really want to see fixes to the Pyro's flamethrower and air blast, there are a lot of other bugs or examples of poor optimization that arguably need fixing just as much. For example, the rate your match button still doesn't close when you try to close it, unusual effects continue to randomly glitch out, and TF2 always seems to stop responding when I join a new map. If Valve could address even a few of these long-standing issues, I think TF2 would seem a lot more streamlined for future players. If you want to see a great video about other quality of life improvements, I would definitely recommend watching TF2 Dove's video on this subject. So that is what I would want from the update. But will we actually get all of that? Well, knowing Valve, probably not. Instead, here's a comprehensive prediction of how exactly I think the update will play out. Number 1. The Pyro update will be released in the second week of July, molded with the jungle theme, and will have some cheesy name that tries to combine the two. The new short film will try to explain this, and it will be a blast to watch. Number 2. Alongside the new Valve map, there will be 3 other new jungle maps taken from the Steam Community Workshop. As always with these kind of maps, they will be quite beautiful. Number 3. There will be 3 new taunts, 1 all-class group taunt, and 2 class-specific ones. These will be available in the Manco store. Number 4. There will be only 3 new weapons, all of which are for Pyro. I expect the weapon to be pretty cool, but their mechanics will be conservative, thus resulting in no overpowered weapons and no new subclasses. Number 5. The return of contracts will be the defining feature of the update. They will function the same as in the last 2 contract updates, with skin and case rewards for completing them. The choose your own adventure changes will allow you to select specific classes and maps you would like to get contracts for, but other than that it will be somewhat disappointing. Number 6. The update will contain 4 new weapon collections, 2 of which are fully fledged cases. All contain skins, will be tiered, and will unfortunately have wares. The collection will feature skins for non-stock weapons, but people will inevitably complain when their favorite weapons get 1 or even 0 new skins. 2 collections will be in the civilian, freelance, mercenary, and commando grades, and will drop as contract rewards. One of the 2 cases will be the Pyro weapons pack, and it will be the most popular. It will contain only new Pyro skins, including skins of the brand new weapons placed at assassin and elite grades. People will complain about this for sure. The final case will have a jungle theme and will contain mercenary through elite grade skins. Number 7. The update will also add a new cosmetic case with tiered jungle themed cosmetics from the Community Workshop. Just like the rainy day case, these will be some of the best cosmetics that we've seen so far. Number 8. Unusual effects will sadly remain the defaults, making the new unusual weapons just as cancerous as before. Unusual hats will still have some sweet new unboxes, as the new jungle themed hats will be incredibly awesome looking. Number 9. Apart from a few minor improvements, casual mode will remain untouched. Quick play will not return. Number 10. The elo system and placement matches will be added to matchmaking. Some general improvements will also be implemented, but it will ultimately not fix the game mode. People will rush to play it in the beginning, but it will ultimately fall out just like before when Valve does not take the time to update it and revise it in a timely manner. Number 11. There will be a crap ton of new weapon balances. Just like in the past, some will be good, but there will also be a lot that make literally no sense. Number 12. In terms of optimization, they will quietly fix a few problems in the patch notes, but they will ultimately mess up when it comes to fixing the Pyro. Competitive players will be upset. And that is basically what I think is going to be in the update. As you can tell, I am predicting there to be a lot of successes and some failures in the update. But at the end of the day, I expect the update to be liked. Honestly, I really think that a lot of people are tempering their expectations this time, and I think that people are going to take Valve's failures a lot less personally than they did this time last year. Whether that is good or bad, I think that people are ultimately just going to enjoy that finally, after what seems like ages, we're going to get a huge batch of brand new content. Anyway, that is just about going to do it for the video. I'm really curious to see what you guys think about everything I said. Do you think that my suggestions should be implemented? Do you think I have my predictions all wrong? I would love to hear you guys' opinions in the comment section below. For now, let's just sit back, relax, and wait for the update to hit. Until then guys, thanks for watching.